we go, people. It's podcast time. Hey, everybody. It's been another crazy week. Told you guys missed a good time at Holler, so suck it. I don't know what else to say. Almost Agreement, gmail.com, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, go to the website, almostagreement.com. Check out what's going on in there. The primaries are passed. We're now fighting about smoking in one of 15 bars left in city of Knoxville. There's a whole bunch of fun stuff going on this week, and we're going to argue about it. A bunch of cops got arrested. That's always good news. Almost Agreement, gmail.com, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. Go to your podcast provider. Like, friend, share, follow, text your friends. So you can do the sports show. We're going to keep doing what we're doing and roll into county general with state and federal primaries here in a couple months. How about day?
Hey.
What's new? How you been? I haven't seen you in forever.
Oh, not much.
Okay.
Yep.
So here's the story. Which one do you want to start with? I've got all sorts of fun stories.
Here's the story.
Smoking ban, which is ridiculous, and I'm fighting with Lauren Ryder personally about it. Tried to get her to call into the show, and she said no, thank you, because it doesn't matter.
Maybe a snowball's chance in hell to have it not pass on the second reading. Right?
Yeah, it's not happening. Still going to complain about it.
I wonder if that's ever happened.
I'm sure it has. I'm sure. I'm sure
there's been enough outcry in 1 week.
Something has to happen. I mean, right? The amount of things that would have to happen, and people would have to pitch fit, and that's just it's one of those. This is a very minority subset of the population whom care enough about being able to go out in public and smoke. Not to mention, it's more young people than most, probably. I would say the people that are affected by this change, that most of them will be younger people who don't really vote or are engaged in politics anyway.
Yeah.
And they'll sit at the bar and smoke cigarettes and drink beer and complain about it, but they won't call or make an appointment to sit down in somebody's office and talk to them. It's also one of those hard things to defend. Point in case, I was on WBR this week because nobody else wanted to go on the record in public to defend it.
I saw there was a statement from Cool Beans. There was another bar that was quoted.
The one that was in the story with me was Abridged, I think. It's one of the breweries. Mm. They're like, we don't smoke, we don't allow smoking in the bar, but I still think this is too much.
Yeah.
Which I agree with that, because that's kind of where I'm at on it. It's just, I don't know. It's just like anytime I've been with any of the local stories, is I went and I don't know. I can't, there's no way for me to say this isn't braggadocious, but it's factual. Like, I went and sat with the lady from WBR, and she turns the camera on and we talk about stuff. Or as she's setting up the camera, we're talking about stuff. As she runs the camera, we're talking about stuff. Like, I've done enough of them that, once I'm mic'd up and sitting in front of the camera, I'm like, my name is Seth Barber. I do this. I know the rules as far because before they do anything, they always want to get you to say your name on the record and crap like that. So I'm doing that in real time while conversing about different things. And then she starts asking questions, which is kind of fun. That it wasn't one of those, all right, stop. What do you think about this? And then I go on and then whatever. And so it was kind of fun because it was as she's setting up, we were talking about it. And it's I know more about this than you do. I know more about this than most people do. I know more about it on a structural, political, governmental, business owner, all the perspectives you could have on this. This one in particular, I have a lot of, I have probably more than average. Not quite as much as my hemp knowledge, I guess. But, and it's she did add a figment of a statement of fact that I didn't realize, that there's only about 15 bars in the city of Knoxville that allow smoking, mm-hmm. which proves my point. The whole thing to me, that's Lauren's argument, and again, this is why it's funny to me, because I like Lauren. I don't like Lauren any less today than I did a week ago, 2 weeks ago, before this all started happening. I like Lauren. I think she's great. I think she's wrong on this one. I think this is that nanny state shit that people talk about all the time. Let me live my life. Leave me alone. Don't tell me how to live my life. And that's my stance on it when I'm talking to her, where she's but secondhand smoke's so terrible for people. All these people working, and the musicians are complaining about it, which even bothers me more than that. But it doesn't matter. The moral of the story here is this isn't 2005, when every single bar was the smoking section in every single restaurant in town, let alone every single bar was a smoking bar.
Right.
How many bars do you think are in the city of Knoxville?
15. Like you just said.
That smoke. Total bars in the city of Knoxville. I mean, it's got to be a solid
25.
3 digits, huh?
I think so.
Yeah. I mean, plus all the little hole in the walls that are sucked in here, there, and
that's
everywhere.
true.
I mean, Market Square is what, 7, 8 just on Market Square, another 10 on Gay Street. You got another 6 or 8 in Old City. You got another 5 up in the Holler. You know, we're at 30 already, 40 already. That's not counting going down Chapman Highway, going down Clinton Highway, Pine
Still
House.
city limits, though.
Huh?
Is that still city limits?
Yeah.
Okay.
Merchants, everything on Merchants is city limits.
Okay.
Everything on Broadway is city limits. You know, all the little places tucked in here, there, and everywhere. I mean, like, and this, what's funny is, like, Lauren knows this because she was on Beer Board. She was the chair of the Beer Board for years. She knows how many freaking beer permits that the city of Knoxville's kicked out for on-premise consumption. I'm going to guess. I don't know if there's a way to verify this. I'll see if what Gronk or some Google says. How many? I'm going to guess 300 plus would be my guess.
Oh, that seems high.
That'd be my guess. Oh, AI can't answer it.
Oops.
I broke it.
Something went wrong. Well, I gotta have a little sympathy for like bands that are coming in. They don't quite have as much of a choice.
Where
do
do
we
they
want to be
play?
able to play in this city? Because that's the only venue that's...
Where? What bands are coming into town, and what venue are they playing at? If you're a traveling band, Pilot Light probably still smokes. I don't know. Press Pub smokes. That's about it. That does regular live music.
Yeah.
I don't even know if Pilot Light still smokes, to be honest. That's me just guessing.
I would say they probably do.
I'd say they probably do, but that's also all the crazy indie bands, which I doubt any of them give a shit. But whatever.
Right.
But like Barley's doesn't smoke, and they like any of the venues that do bands often, especially bands like you're referencing that may travel. Bijou doesn't smoke. Tennessee Theater doesn't smoke. Civic doesn't smoke.
No, I'm thinking of smaller bands that don't really.
Mill and Mine doesn't smoke. I mean, Mill and Mine's the number one small venue to me. For a traveling band that would be doing a club, that's like a club tour.
Yeah, I think last time I was there, I think I did have to go outside. I think they had like the garage doors open, but I think you still had to be like outside of the main room.
Right. Which by law, if they did currently allow smoking, if they open the garage doors, they can still allow smoking. So nothing actually changes.
Because you're letting the outside in.
Right, because basically if the garage door's open, it's not a wall, and the enclosed space is part of the rule.
Huh.
And so
Nice
like that's part. Again, that's a secondary part of the issue here. It's like, you know, the I think I my friends at Mirage I'm worried about because I'm not worried about. I'm confused about.
But you said they were grandfather or not grandfather. But.
Well, like hookah is not classified, so it's not technically smoking by state law. But I think Skybox upstairs was smoking because it's smoky as shit because all the hookah's coming up from downstairs anyway. I think, but I don't know. I haven't been in there in years. I've only been in Skybar once. I'm always down in the basement if I do go to that building. Anyway, but like Press Pub screwed, full stop, because they can't do anything. It's historic Market Square frontage. They can't mess with that front of the building. They couldn't put a garage door on there to make inside outside by rule kind of stuff. They're fucked.
Open a big window and call it a door.
I mean, that's like, I mean, I've got the document. I've got the excerpts from the state law, all the different state laws that would apply here. Like, I know exactly where all the parts and pieces of this thing will lay down. And it's stupid because, especially like with the complaint in general, it's like, okay, like Market Square is probably my favorite example of how stupid this is, what's going to end up happening. So everybody in Press Pub, now that are going to have at least some periods of time, I don't know exactly, Dora, they announced Dora today, designated outside recreation areas. God, I don't remember what it was, but it's basically open container.
Yeah, I saw they were talking about that.
And so the pilot's going to be on Market Square. I haven't seen the parameters. Like, is it going to be just Friday, Saturdays? Is it going to be all week? When, how it's going to exactly work? But so now what's going to happen is everybody that's hanging out in Press Pub is just going to go hang out in the square and smoke. So that means that for all the people in the public who want to get anywhere in the square to go into a place that doesn't allow smoking, they're going to have to go through crowds of people smoking. Congratulations. You win, Lauren. Good job. Like, I don't like it. Like, that's part of the thing that doesn't make any sense. You know, we're going to go on to Gay Street.
It's less enclosed. I mean, it's not.
It is, right? It's not enclosed. It's open air, and it's less dense of nasty air that you have to breathe through the period of time. But it's like, so I wanted to go to Scruffy City, which doesn't allow smoking, and now I have to walk through a crowd of smokers to get to Scruffy City. A crowd of drunk smokers walking around in the square. Like, again, none of it makes sense. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. And again, Lauren, if you're bothering listening, because I told you I was going to talk shit about you on the show tonight, I don't disagree with the health conversation, even though I think some of the statistics are overblown and a little bit misleading. Went and looked it up before I went and talked to WBAR. According to the CDC, approximately 41,000 Americans die annually from either lung issues, and more. The majority of them, like 35,000 of that 41, is from cardiovascular issues.
Yeah,
from categorized from secondhand smoke. The percentage of that 41,000 or whatever that is in long-term secondhand smoke situations, meaning they live with a smoker, and their entire life they are sitting next to a smoker in their home. Mm-hmm. It's like 90%. So of 41,000 Americans, which would be 0.01% of Americans, right? Is that the math? 330 million, 30 something thousand.
Sure.
0.01%.
Don't ask me to do math.
Yeah. Anyway, my point being is that it's a very small percentage of the total population. It's about 6% of the CDC's annual deaths from tobacco-related illness. So people dying from lung cancer and cardiovascular issues as they relate to direct smoking.
Right.
Or from smoking, period. So that 41,000 is included in the 750, 800,000 or so that die annually from tobacco-related deaths. It's not a lot of people. Especially the secondhand smoke
tobacco-related deaths count like other tobacco products.
I don't know. I don't know if it counts cigars.
No, I mean just like chaw and dip and stuff.
Right, lip cancer, people dying from mouth cancers from
right.
dipping. I don't know exactly. I think it's smoking was the way they phrased it. Smoking-related deaths.
Okay.
So anyway, that's my point being is for the people who are dying from secondhand smoke, yes, some employees are probably on that list of 41,000 a year annually. Some people that work in bars that allow smoking, or restaurants or places where smoking happens a lot around them. Some of those are probably employees. And it's 2026, everybody. Again, going back to the beginning point, there's only about 15 bars in Knoxville that allow smoking. If you're a bartender or server and you want to go get a job and get paid, there are hundreds of other bars in town that you could go get a job that don't allow smoking inside. It's no longer the obligation that it was when I was coming up in the game.
Right. When
I was coming up the game, if you wanted to bartend, you had to be in smoking. Every restaurant in town that had a bar, the bar was the smoking section. Mm-hmm. And
if the whole half the restaurant,
right? Plus they had a portion of the restaurant that was designated smoking and non-smoking or whatever. But the bar always was smoking.
Right.
When I was coming up in the game, you had to be in a smoking bar if you wanted to bartend. And everybody that's been in the game for a little while knows that's where you make the most money is behind the bar at any restaurant. Until they killed the smoking thing, and then I left there and went to a bar that allowed smoking so that I could pay my bills. But that's my history of it anyway. And so my point being is, so you're not protecting anybody who isn't choosing to put themselves in the situation. The only people who I can feel any sort of empathy for, and not really because there's no real likelihood of damage for the limited amount of contact they're going to have, would be a cop or a firefighter that has to come in here, or an EMS worker that has to come in during an emergency. Somebody gets too drunk and falls down and thunks their head, and they come in there to help them, get them cleaned up, get them out of there kind of thing.
Yeah.
Where they're spending like an hour in there once or twice a year. I'm going to go on a limb and say firefighters are probably not super concerned with secondhand smoke inhalation from cigarette smoke. There's probably other shit that they breathe in on the job that's probably more concerning to them.
Right.
I'm going to guess. And then the health department worker that has to come in twice a year to do inspections. Everybody else is choosing to be there. Owner, employees, patrons, and musicians. You're choosing to go there because that's where you want to work because that place is willing to pay you. If you don't want to work in a smoking bar as any option, including a musician, be like, hey, man, I don't want to do the smoking thing. Well, we smoke in here. I'm not going to go non-smoking for the night. Maybe you can use that as a negotiation tactic to get paid a little bit more. Hey, you're putting me at a little more risk because they're smoking in here. Maybe pay me $400 instead of $300 for my gig tonight.
I think that used to happen every once in a while. I think they've gone to a show or two where
we went to. I think you came. We went to Blue Cats for Victor Wooten, and Victor Wooten said, "You're not smoking in here, or I'm not coming." And Blue Cats ownership said, "Whatever you say, boss. No smoking tonight."
Yeah, that was a great show.
It was a very good show. That guy's freaking ridiculous. But my point being is, like, you don't, like, yes, I get it. If you're like an up and coming performer and you're trying to get your feet under you and stuff like that, it's pretty hard to say no to a paying gig. Period.
Right.
Again, if you're not playing in a smoking bar every night for 30 years, let's go find Tall Paul. Let's see how that guy's doing. I'll bet you he's all right. And he played in smoky bars all the time.
He played a lot of patios, too.
He did play in a lot of patios. He had that very outdoor kind of summer vibe. That was his shtick.
Right.
But my point being is it's not an obligation. You have a choice, and you are choosing to do that because you think that's the best end for you. Whether, again, bartender, owner, musician. You're choosing to put yourself in, quote-unquote, a dangerous situation. And so that, to me, is like that we don't need to legislate that out of existence. And then there's my tinfoil hat version of the whole thing, is I think this is like some of the bigger chain places that, I'm trying to think of one. Like Applebee's is kind of there, but that's not exactly what I'm kind of pointing at. But it's like bigger corporate bars, especially in Nashville, like the Jason Aldean's and all those kind of things. Nashville has the same law already in place, so they already can't smoke in there. But it's one of those, like, if one of your appeals as a business is that you allow smoking inside, and you're a competitor, and you don't want to allow smoking inside, and you're now fighting for the same customers, and the one identifying factor that makes you different, you're now going to get legislated out of the way, that's a government picking winners and losers game. Because now the bar that made the choice is taking the risk of putting themselves and their employees in a negative health situation, no longer has the competitive advantage of allowing that inside because this other place, or because the law changed on them. And so there's a conspiratorial side of me that thinks that some of those people are behind the move on this. I don't know that it's true. Because again, I'm trying to wrap my head around, like, who is motivated by this? Like, who is motivating this push?
It's not big tobacco.
It's right. And so it's like, it's again, like, it seems to me that this is an ideological thing for Lauren that she went and sold to city council and they bought it.
Maybe it's big smokeless tobacco.
Maybe. All these kids these days with their Zyn pouches and whatnot.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know, but I don't care. That's the point. It's like, who cares? I don't understand. Like again, I disagree. I'm concerned about some of the statistics and some of the health facts, quote unquote, behind secondhand smoke being problems. I'm not trying to say it's not bad for you, but the likelihood of somebody that goes out once or twice a week and hangs out in a smoky bar developing a smoking related illness is probably going to be superseded by a liver problem or something else because of the amount of time and energy that they're spending out at the bars.
Eating bar food.
Right. Like they're likely to have some negative health outcomes anyway, right, because of their lifestyle. And so again, like, it's like, I don't know. I don't want to live in a world where the government's going to, like, this is one of those little baby steps. Let me rephrase that. This is another one of those little baby steps that's walking us towards, the iRobot storyline. We got AI doing its whole thing, and now we've talked plenty about how much the AI scares me, but like the logical conclusion is that we're too dumb to make decisions for ourselves. We need our daddy to make the decision for us, whether our daddy's the government or the robots. we'll wait and see. But right now, at least it's the government's on this one. The government's telling us how to live our lives. Goes at the same time. The Knox County schools, the first county in the country, has now to ban Roots from their libraries, which it's also crazy to me because all these Karens out there who I don't really understand the logic here that need to...
I was curious and just saw that apparently in one of the later mentions, like Chapter 11 or something like that, or Chapter 89, whatever.
I mean, it's very explicit. The way the state law is written is very explicit. If any portion, passage, or whatever has any of X, Y, or Z in it, in this section, sadomasochistic violence, which is basically some slave owner is beating the shit out of the main character slave and enjoying himself.
Well, this article was saying and
it's very graphic.
It depicts a sexual assault scene.
Also true, yes. I think that was the first complaint, and then the second complaint was the sadomasochistic thing.
Okay. My next thought was like, wait, grapes of wrath. Yeah. It's like, that's got a murder in the end of it.
There's all sorts of shit. I mean, like, I don't know what we're doing here, man, on the thing. But to finish the point is like that's it. It feels the same to me. Maybe Lauren, if you're listening, maybe that will help you understand my point of view here. That feels the same to me. You can't go out in a place where a bunch of people are choosing to be together and smoke cigarettes and drink beer because it's not good for you. Feels exactly the same to me as Moms for Liberty going, we can't have Roots in the library because if a kid reads that, they might feel bad that their great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather might have participated in that shitty action or might have been the victim of that shitty action or whatever the fucking bullshit argument they're making. It feels the same. It's we're going to shelter you from the bad, but we get to decide. We are the ones who decide what is good and bad. And you're both wrong, is my point. You're Sherry Supers and you're Lauren Riders. You're both wrong. You don't get to decide what's good or bad for me. I get to decide that. I get to decide what's good or bad for my kids. That's the world I thought we were supposed to be living in.
But this was America.
I mean, like, not to put the MAGA hat language on it, but yeah. I mean, if you want to get down to it, that's why Trump won. That is exactly why Trump won. Is people don't want to live in this weird world where like it came as a reaction to the left, where the left was telling us how to live our lives, and so. But now the MAGA version of it's flipped it over, and now it's them telling us how to live our lives. It's both of them. Stop telling me how to live my life. Stop telling me how to run my business. Just leave me the fuck alone. Let me do what I'm doing. I'm not hurting anybody. At least not anybody that isn't knowingly putting themselves in danger by participating in the activities that I allow in my business or in my household or whatever. Like, I'm not, like, this isn't the fucking 60s where we have doctors selling Camels on TV where we're pretending like it's healthy. We know, like, we know better, right? We know that cigarettes are bad for people. We know that secondhand smoke is bad for people, right?
I think we finally admitted it. Yes.
I think, do we? I'm pretty sure we know that now. Now, maybe if you've done a better job of educating on us, the public on it early, and maybe doing some things to stop what Big Tobacco was doing in the early days, and maybe make them, put a cleaner product out, we wouldn't be in the situation we're in. But, like, maybe just educate us on, here's the deal, here's what we know about this thing that you guys are enjoying. Maybe don't make it, maybe let's see if we're not going to tell you can or can't, we're not going to put weird taxes on to discourage you from doing it. We're just going to try to educate you with the truth and see if that's enough to maybe convince you to make the right decision. If you don't make the right decision, okay, live with it.
And go the Aussie route and required to have black and lung pictures on all the cigarette packs.
I mean, I don't hate that. Like, I prefer that. I prefer the stupid surgery. The problem with those is it's that Prop 65 California thing that we talked about a couple weeks ago. Is there comes a point with warning labels where there's so many warning labels that we all just turn them off in our heads. Everything's got a warning label, so we just don't even read them or look at them or consider what they actually say anymore. Yeah. Because it's easier for a company to just put the warning label on it, even if it's not really there. Like, there's another story that that I saw on it where it's like it was New York State, maybe, or it might have still been California. Was they added sesame seeds to the major allergens list because there are people that are allergic to sesame seeds. And so, actually, I think it might have been in Australia. Anyway, it doesn't matter. And so the government was like, hey, this is a major allergen. It needs to be included in the major allergens list. If you're going to put it on there, it needs to be on the label that you have it, and whatever. But it's sesame seeds. You know, if you do a round of regular bagels and then a round of sesame seed bagels, they cross-contaminate pretty easy. It's hard to get every single sesame seed off your table. And so companies were trying to do things like made in a bakery that includes sesame seeds. Be warned, like try to put warning on it that way. But the way the law was written is that if it didn't include sesame seeds in the recipe, you couldn't say anything about sesame seed contamination. And so a bunch of companies just started adding sesame seeds to all of their recipes, just a pinch, just so it would actually be on their recipe list, so that they could then say this is a sesame seed product, and that was their official warning.
They couldn't warn about it being produced around said product if it wasn't included.
If it wasn't actually part of the recipe, they're basically saying basically they're saying you're putting a blanket warning on there to discourage people with a sesame seed allergy for buying your product. And it's like, well, yeah, because I can't guarantee there's no sesame seeds on it. Like, I do it all the time. People ask questions on the vape side of stuff. Like, I'm allergic to peanut butter. If there's a peanut butter flavor in the vape, should I be worried about that? It's like, I wouldn't try it.
Yeah.
I don't know. But my suggestion would be to not mess with it.
Right. I don't know how they derived that flavor.
And I don't know what your allergy is. Is your allergy a skin allergy? Is it when you eat it? Like, if you just touch peanut butter, do you get bust out? Like, I don't know. Right. Like, there's a bunch, like, you know, like, depending on how you are allergic to something depends on how you will react to it. Because you may be able to like, put your finger in a peanut butter jar and be fine, but as soon as you put some in your mouth and it gets into your stomach, that's what messes you up.
Right.
You know, and so, like, depending, like, you know, and it's like, anyway, my point being is I don't want to live in any state. I would like an educated mass, and I would like obligations. I'm okay with the idea of the government obliging some information, or maybe doing their due diligence and helping us to find said information and then sharing that information in a reasonable and trustworthy manner. Except we live in a country where our government is saying that, the carbs are good for us and fats are bad, and all this, like, the food pyramid's all sideways and backwards. What was the one back in? It was the Sugar Wars? Was it the can't remember what it was. Anyway, like, you know, the government that's more than happy to let you buy sodas on your SNAP cards, but won't let you buy certain, like, health foods. Our government's bought off. FDA sucks. They suck at their job. They don't do the job. The job is supposed to be to make sure there's healthy and safe food and drugs on the market. But they just put out whatever the people pay for them, and they use the studies that the companies hand them instead of the studies that they do themselves, or a third party comes in and does, and all sorts of shit. Like, it's fucking. It
does happen sometimes. It's not across.
It's a bullshit.
It's not across the board.
Yeah, but again, you're acknowledging that it happens, and so how am I supposed to trust?
I mean, find me a segment that doesn't do that.
But how am I supposed to trust it if that's not somewhat if it's a known that those things happen? What was the one that's going to drive me nuts now? I think it was the sugar. Yeah, it was the sugar lobby paid off whatever. That it wasn't sugar that was causing people to get fat. It was fats in meat, in meats and stuff like that.
I'm not sure if I remember that.
And so fats were good, or fats were bad, and sugar is good. And that's why we went in this whole no fat, low fat, whatever thing. Anyway, another time to catch my breath and chill out because it's getting a little hot and excited there. Like, you know, again, and I think maybe the more important takeaway here is that, Lauren, I still love you, and I still think you're a great person, and I don't like you any less than I did a couple weeks ago before this happened. I'm frustrated with this. You know, like, I'm concerned. I mean, I'm mildly inspired that I need to get better at trying to articulate my points in quicker time frame than, you know, because it's taken me a couple weeks to get through the you know, we're 30 minutes into this, and this is my concise version. You know, I've had to kind of wander around a little bit to try to find the actual argument pieces. You know, and even in that, like, I just found another one with the whole comparison to the book ban people. But I think that, like, again, I think that's I don't know. Maybe this is a little bit of a stretch because it's two different levels of government, and we actually understand the difference here. is the government that's sending our kids over to the Middle East right now to potentially go to war is a government that's going to tell us what's good and bad for us physically. Doesn't really track to me. I don't trust that person who's in the business of war to tell me what's good for my health and good for my general lifestyle.
That's different people, different departments.
I know. That's what I'm saying. I understand what I'm saying is two completely different portions of the government. But again, that and the one that actually kind of hurt my feelings is like this. Lauren kept going back and back and back and back to 140 other cities are doing it. It's like, I don't care. Why does that that does not make an argument? But moving on, 10 sheriff's office current former employees and one sheriff's office employee's brother are all indicted for stealing drug money and buying bullshit with it, including Jimmy J.J. Jones and David Amberm, who was both sheriff candidates. Mm-hmm. So congratulations, Knox County. You elected so of the 4 sheriff's candidates, you elected one of the 2 who weren't indicted the week after the election. Good job, everybody. So
yeah, that's all. I didn't see. I guess they asked him. I didn't see what his response was on it.
It was, something has consequences. Actions have consequences, basically.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
And so he's outside of this for whatever reason or for however his means were, and so good for Gibson. That's nice. The case opens all sorts of cans of worms and stuff that drives me crazy in the first place. This goes into the weirdism. That's like the sheriff's office has zero oversight by anybody. County mayor.
I know Spangler's the current still.
Yeah. But like no oversight. The one to me that the Compass guys are talking about on their show, and I kept myself from chiming in because I was going to lose my mind. The one to me, the problem is that the way it works is that it's all about the narcotics fund. So they got the narcotics team, and basically their spend account to do stuff that's reasonable stuff. I say reasonable with a twinge, but potentially reasonable stuff that a narcotics team in a sheriff's office, a police department might do. Like, you got some stacks of cash where you go out and try to do a big buy, and that's how you find the major dealer or whatever. Like, you need to have that cash available. You need to go get a car, or you need to get some things to help for your undercover to, get him in the door. Like stuff that makes him seem more reasonable as a person instead of like cruising down there with his cruiser, getting out of his cruiser in a uniform or whatever. It's going to be pretty obvious he's a cop. Where if you're trying to get him in there, you want to put him a little more low key. You got to go buy that kind of shit. And so like, I can't even make the argument for why the fund should exist in the way it does. But essentially, what they do is when they kick your door in, and we could talk to Afro Man about it. When they kick your door in and steal any cash you have in the house because they suspect you of selling drugs, that cash goes into the fund. Now, I think technically that cash has to sit around for a certain amount of time for your case to do what it does, and then you to go through the process of requesting your money back, because that's how civil asset forfeiture works. They don't give it back to you when you're found innocent, or found not guilty, rather. You have to go then to a different court to ask for your shit back. And then the sheriff's office has to give it back to you. So that money doesn't immediately go into the fund, but it sits around for a while. 9 times out of 10, it eventually gets into the fund.
Yeah.
So the whole thing is set up on a terrible incentive for the sheriff's office. Steal people's money. That's how you get money to do your job. That's the incentive. That's terrible in and of itself. Like, that part's like... I know this is one of my narrow OCD points that most people aren't going to get on board with, but just that part is the first of many problems with the system that goes on in this thing. The second part of the second and more obvious one is that it's fairly hard to see what's happening in an account like this when you have, thousands of dollars coming in, and then they go sell assets where, they steal they seize the drug dealer's car, and then they go and sell it at auction. That auction money goes into that account. And then it's like, okay, well, the rule on paper is that any funds spent out of that account need to be for the job of, for the narcotics job.
Right.
And then it's like, well, what does that mean? Apparently, Hutchinson, the prior Sheriff Hutchinson,
Tim Hutchinson,
he went and built a gun range out in East Knox County with his drug money slush fund.
I think he bought some helicopters with it, too. There was a big kerfuffle about that years ago.
I mean, the helicopters were a big thing for many years for many reasons, and that might have been part of it, too. And so it's an unaccounted fund, and so it's like you have your budget, because you can't do a salary or anything with those funds, because you can't count on it being consistent enough to do a salary. It's just, I want to buy some random shit. It's whatever the random shit is I want to buy, what's getting Jimmy and the gang in trouble was the duck blind.
The one he had people come out and build?
Yeah, which it was a Captain, maybe, Henderson, no relation, I think. I don't know. I didn't bring myself to ask the question. I'm assuming no relation to Betsy or her husband or whatever. But an Officer Henderson got pulled in on a federal count a couple years ago, and it seems like, we don't know this, and that's not public record by any stretch, but it pretty well seems like this is well, you got me. What can I do to make my sentence lighter? Well, name names. Tell us what happened. Tell us how this worked. And so he doesn't name, at least in the original one, he didn't name JJ, but it was the former sheriff when he got busted was right at the beginning of Spangler's, right after Sheriff Jones or Jimmy left.
Yeah.
And so he's like, well, former sheriff, we built this duck blind for the former sheriff. Now, it doesn't say Jimmy, but it is kind of implied because, you got to go back 9 years to find a different former sheriff than the one that just left that you worked for. And so that's what it seems like. He started naming names of people that were part of the program.
Okay.
Or people that knew about it and were aware and maybe didn't do anything, people that were spending the money on things for themselves or whatever. But yeah, the big one was what started it was the Henderson case that was bought the supplies, took officers while on duty out to the site.
Part of it, well, they took like some inmates out to build some of that.
Right. They were basically using the sheriff's office and the fund and either directly or indirectly by payroll and stuff like that or whatever to go out there and do the work.
There's some like home improvements that some of the money was used for.
11, which I don't know what the penalty is for conspiracy to, I guess, commit some sort of fraud, I guess.
Yeah.
But again, like, to me, it's like the just on the core principle of like the idea, just the core principle, just the center idea of having this, okay, have a narcotics unit. Okay, fine. I'll accept the premise that is a needed piece of the puzzle here in Knox County Sheriff's Office. We have drugs that move through this community. We want to get them off the streets. These are some of the methods to get there. To have this weird little slush fund as part of that is my first, why? Why are we doing it that way? Because first of all, if you're funded by seizures, you're more likely to seize. And again, if you go down the rabbit hole of civil asset forfeiture and the way that process works, it's really hard to get your shit back. And so if you need funding for your program and you can go take people's stuff, accuse them of a crime, they get found innocent, but you get to keep all their stuff in the seizure project part of it, well, at least you got funding for your program. It's a bad incentive. So to me, it's like, the first piece of the puzzle is we need to take the income out of this thing. It doesn't, we don't want any police department, I don't think, at least, we don't want any police department to be dependent or even incentivized to do punitive damages to the public as a way to fund themselves. Like, if a police department was truly funded by tickets, we're going to have to lay a few people off. We didn't write enough tickets last month. Is that a community you want to live in? Because they're dependent on going out there and collecting as many parking violations, as many tickets as possible so that they can pay the bills as a department. I don't think that's something that we as the public would want. I think that's a fair statement.
Yeah.
And so, if we wouldn't want them to be funded that way, why are we letting this little subset be funded this way in the middle? I think that's a problem, and I think that's something that needs to get maybe talked about. Again, there are occasions and reasons where maybe we should be seizing assets from criminal individuals and they should be taken in. I'm not sure what we should do with that money. But I don't know. Maybe personally, I'd say that should go into some sort of general fund that the county gets to spend on municipal. I don't know. The fucking county doesn't need the money either. I don't know. I don't know where that money should go. Put it all in the United Way and let United Way split it up. I don't know, but again, like to me, you don't want to put anybody in the circle that's going to then incentivize things. Because if you give it to county commission, they'll have an incentive to make ordinances that have punitive damages or seizable damages to get the sheriff's office to go out and enforce, so that the county can bring in more income for projects they want to do. Like, to me, the goal is going to be to put as minimal incentives in place where it could encourage bad action. I'm not saying they're all bad actors, but you put the incentive in there. At some point, some people are going to start going, oh, okay. And it's going to start leaning that way. So whatever we can do to not do that. So anything that goes into that fund goes into something over here. Goes to the fire department for something. I don't know. Just get it out of the direct line of the more you bust people, the more money you make. And the more money you make, the more money you have to spend on busting people. It just doesn't. It's a bad incentive. It needs to go away.
I see your point.
And like that to me is the bottom line of it. And like, that's not what anybody's going to talk about in the story. Everybody's going to talk about the corruption of these individuals. It's like, well, yes, but that's the corruption on the back end. How much of that? I think they said, like $30,000 in cash was taken out of the safes that they had confiscated from dealers.
Right. And
it was like some $700,000 that was spent on the narcotics credit card, which gets paid from that fund. Like, that's how they pay the bill. They could go out and spend some on the credit card. Their narcotics seizures pay that credit card bill. So $750,000, I think it's about the number, give or take. I think is what they were talking about.
300,000.
300,000. I thought I heard 7. So either way, okay, less than I don't know, 6 figures, decent 6 figures, not huge, not nothing. I don't know. I feel like that's a bad. It's just a bad incentive, and that's what needs to be looked at, because everybody's going to talk about the corruption part, which is a problem. But it's the corruption after the fact that is what everybody's going to be talking about, instead of the corruption on the front end. It's like, where did all that money come from? Everybody's just happy to say, well, they were drug dealers. They stole money. They took the money from these drug dealers. Were they? Do we know that for a fact? Or have all of them been convicted? Like, I was coming home from Holloway last week. I had like $7,000 in cash on me. It was 12:30 at night on a Saturday night. I'm driving out of downtown Knoxville with $1,200 in cash. I get pulled over right there. There's a decent chance I get that money confiscated if they find out that it's in there. Why would you have $1,200 in cash on you, sir? None of your fucking business, sir. Well, we expect that cash is from illicit activity. What probable cause do you have for that? Well, it's 12:30 on a Saturday night. I don't think that's probable cause. But once they make that decision and take that money, it's months before I'm going to have a chance to get my money back. And at that point, is it worth it?
I don't think they could automatically seize it without any kind of other potential charge.
Well, they could, if they have probable or reasonable suspicion or probable cause, they absolutely can. Sir, you were speeding out of a neighborhood where we know drug activity takes place. You have $1,200 in cash on you. We have reasonable suspicion that you've been participating in illicit activity. Okay, I can't prove that I didn't to you right now. I don't know what to tell you. But once that threshold's crossed, that they can argue for probable cause or reasonable suspicion or whatever to search my vehicle and bring the drug dogs out, which my vehicle is going to smell like fucking hemp anyway, because I move enough hemp around town because of my job.
Right, but when they searched it, they wouldn't find anything.
Okay. They might. I don't know. I might have some bud in there fell out of a thing. Probably not. I'm better than that. But I could have a pre-roll in the things, even if they don't. Even if they get in there and but the dog alerts, they're now in my car, they'll find the cash. And then it's like, well, what's this cash from? It smells like weed in here and you got a bunch of cash. I'm pretty sure that would cross the probable cause threshold.
You're wrong, but I don't think so. I think there has to be some other kind of charge.
I don't think so. I really think that they could take me. They take me in there. They take all my shit. They take my truck to the impound. And it'll take me months to get any of my shit back. Especially if it's potentially drug related. Especially if they want to try to keep it, because that's how they pay for their shit, to go chase people down like me. Moral of the story is that part sucks, and that's not what
TWRA does. Asset forfeiture.
I know. I don't like that. I'm not a big fan of. I'm not a fan of asset forfeiture. No, I like, again. Like if you are caught poaching and they take your gun, okay, I guess that's fair.
They'll take that. They'll take your ATV or your truck with it as well. Okay, I think it was out of South Carolina.
But I don't think they could. I don't think they could take it on suspicion of poaching. I think they have to catch you poaching.
Well, I mean, you just thought that they could take everything on any kind of suspicion.
Cops can.
TWA are essentially cops on state wildland property or whatever.
Okay, well, I mean, that's good. It's an interesting question. I don't know. I'd have to look. I'd be, there's some, I like TWA. It's one of my few government agencies I'm on board with, but they've been lobbying. I don't know if they got it passed this year or not for the right to go on private property without. With no document, with no warrant or any or notification to the ownership or anything like that. Like, if I own 100 acres out in Big South Fork, and they suspect somebody, not me, but somebody is poaching in Big South Fork, that my property neighbors, and they suspect that person is sneaking onto my property to get out, so they don't have to go out on some of the known trails or whatever. I don't know if it's passed, but it's been before the state a couple of times, where they're basically saying, we would like the right to go onto people's property.
I thought they could already do that.
Yeah. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. Because what if I'm growing a bunch of weed back in the South 40 of my 100 acres, and they stumble across that chasing some poacher? They had no right to be on my property. They don't get to know that I have that weed back there.
Hemp.
Whatever. I'm putting an explicitly illegal hypothetical together. But I don't like that. Private property, private property is private property. There needs to be a good fucking reason for you to come on my property without my permission. And somebody else committing a crime is not a good enough reason automatically without my permission. Somebody else potentially committing a crime, let alone a known criminal.
Remember, we talked about it before when I saw a story, I think it was in Virginia, that talked about hunters, if they had like a dog, that they were allowed to go on to private property to like retrieve their dog, basically, without any kind of explicit permission, which I didn't think was right.
I mean, there's some decency of being a human being and being like, yeah, man, I get it, but still, you're in my yard. I don't want you in my yard.
Right.
Now, do I have the right to shoot you? Probably not.
If you feel threatened.
No. Yes. Agreed with that.
There was a guy.
I mean, if his dog's a big vicious...
This guy walking around in camo trying to hide, and he had a gun. I feel threatened.
And a big vicious dog came out, and he was yelling something at that dog in German, which sounded to me like he wanted that dog to kill me.
Right.
So I shot him and his dog. Look, I mean, it'd be an interesting case, and I wouldn't get, I don't know if I'd get mad either way on a verdict in that case. I think the threshold to charge the property owner would need to be pretty high to get a murder charge out of it. You're trespassing on clearly private property. You have a weapon on you. You're approaching me. I yelled at you to go away, and you kept approaching me with your gun in an aggressive manner. That should be enough to get you off on a justifiable homicide. Now, if you have a bunch of signs that says, free beer here, and then when people go to that spot where you put the free beer signs at, and then you shoot them, yeah, you're going to jail for murder. Because I'd get shot. I'm out in the woods, tromping around, cold and tired, see a sign for free beer. I'll probably...
I am thirsty.
Probably go check that out and be like, maybe they have some granola bars or maybe a hot dog or something. Really give me the energy I need to get back to camp. Kapow! Murder with a hot dog in my mouth. That'd be the way to go. But I mean, I don't know. We'll see how this thing rolls out. sheriff's office, the structure of the sheriff's office is a subset of problems with this too, because they don't answer to anybody except for the state, and the state doesn't give a shit to get involved. Like, they're not gonna. Like, I doubt you'll see anything where Michelle Carringer or Senator Massey or Briggs or Elaine Davis is going to introduce a bill forcing some sort of transparency out of the sheriff's office on the narcotics fund. Just don't see that one happening. You know, I could see maybe a change in the civil asset forfeiture side of the law and where that money has to go. Could be one that you could potentially see. That would be the state coming in and being like, hey, any assets seized through criminal enterprise goes to TBI. And then TBI can do with it as they please. Yeah. So any local or county police departments, any seized assets go over here. I could see maybe something like that. And that would be a good start to kind of detangle this mess that is an easily corruptible thing that the sheriff's office has. But, you know, I don't see, you know, like, and again, it's one of those, like, what's the political side of this? I'm running for mayor right now. What are your thoughts of this? Well, I don't think it's okay. Well, do you support law enforcement? Yes. If I want to win my election, I'm going to have to say yes. How do you support law enforcement? By looking the other way when they do fucked up shit, because the county mayor and the commission is not going to do anything they're not going to do anything. They can't do a lot, but even what handful of stuff they can do, it's not politically advantageous. The Back the Blue crowd is strong enough in Knox County that if you start doing stuff that the sheriff's office or the police, or the sheriff's office mainly, is like, hey, they're infringing on my ability to protect you, the citizens, or whatever, it's a hard political place you're putting yourself in if you're going to advocate for it. So most people, like, it's a bad politics move. Going back into the smoking ban one real quick, because there's a politics piece that I wanted to touch on. The saving grace here, I guess, for this is that it was a bipartisan. All of City Council, except for Amelia and Matt, voted for it. So we have at least one officially Republican and then two presumed Republicans that are still in there's two that are pre-state law change that are still in. So they're not officially, so I think we have two. I don't know. The writer, the dude that won District 4, that was the Republican, like the explicit Republican that won that race. And then I'd have to look up names because I'm forgetting names right now. The more right-leaning portion of the city council is part of the 7 that voted for it. And so none of the mayor or county commission candidates could be like, this is what that party does. Because that'd be me right now. If I were I don't know whose campaign I would be. If I were the Sherry Super campaign, I would be out there running my mouth being like, this is what the Democrats do. This is that stuff where they're telling you how to live your life. Now, Sherry Super's perfectly fine with telling you how to live your life because she's going to tell you what books your kids are allowed to read and not read at school and blah, 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 because that's who she is. But, you know, still on the politics rhetorical game, I would absolutely be out right now painting any Democrat. If I'm a Republican in this Knox County area, I'd be painting all the Democrats with the brush that Lauren handed to them. Like, this is what they do. They tell you how to live your life. They tell you what you can and can't do and what's safe for you, and they're going to protect you from yourself because you're too stupid. I would make that a huge part of my campaign right now.
It's possible.
Because I think there's value, and I think there's value with the way county votes. There's value in separating from the city and making the city a different entity. And it is functionally a different entity, but everybody that lives in the city is a county voter.
No,
I don't think the city voters know that. I really don't. I think of the 240-something thousand people or whatever that live in the city of Knoxville, I think most of them that bother or most of them that do vote in their city races don't think they're allowed to vote in county races.
You really think so?
Oh, yeah. Look at the precincts. Like, if you go look at the precincts and stuff like that, the downtown precincts and the clearly within the city limits, Commission District 3 with Courtney Durrett Like it's the only county commission district that is totality within the city. You look at her, like you look at the overall numbers, they vote less. Like that, everything that's county commission district 3 votes less in county races than they do in city races. It's factual.
Do you think that's anything in part of, like we saw in the past? I think there was only a couple races, but where there was literally no Democrat even running.
No, it's even in general, so it doesn't matter. It's like it's a norm amongst election history. Because if city voters voted, we would have more Democrats in the county. I don't think we'd have any county-wide Democrats, but you have overlapping city, like parts, like so county districts that overlap with city districts. You'll have pretty solid blue Democrats running the city district, where the county district that includes that city, parts of that big chunks of that city district will be Republicans. And if you look at the way the actual population distribution of it, it's probably like a 60-40 county heavier or something like that. It's not much like by population numbers. I'm sorry, the other way. The population numbers has like 60% of the residents that are in County Commission District 4, for example. 60 or 70% of those residents are in the city limits. Mm-hmm. That's most of that is in City District 2, which tends to vote for Democrats. But County Commission District 4, which is currently represented by a Democrat for the first time in a very long time, as well as the school board is but it doesn't. It's not. I'm doing a poor example. District 4 was not the best example, but District 7, that's not a good one either. I don't know. Turnout sucks. Period. Old people vote, and that's all that really votes anyway. But of the splits, more like county residents that are not city residents are voting more than city/county residents in total numbers. Which again is crazy because if taxes are all that matters, the county residents and the city residents are paying all the same taxes. The county residents aren't getting the benefit of some of those taxes.
Right. And
the city residents are paying 3 times the property tax because the city property tax is much higher. And they still pay county property tax. And Mayor Jacobs put his budget out. Guess what? No tax increase. And I'm trying to be more journalistically with it. And so I was messaging with the Betsy campaign, not with Betsy herself, because I don't know that she will ever talk to me directly again. But I said, hey, on the record, what is Betsy's take on the smoking ban? They haven't looked into it. How about, I'm sure Betsy is happy with the new budget not having the tax increase, but does Betsy have any concerns with Mayor Jacobs' budget proposal? He did his budget proposal on Monday. 1.15. So we're up $50 million from last year in total budget. 2.some%. And I said, does Betsy have any concerns with Mayor Jacobs' budget proposal? It's a good start for the administration to work with. As Betsy has said in the past, every large organization has excess spending that should be evaluated. Mayor Jacobs has eliminated some waste in the budget, but Betsy will continue to build on that. So I said, when Betsy says continue to build on that, looking at the budget Mayor Jacobs has proposed, what does Betsy see as places to trim excess? And that's when it went from Betsy's answer to Zach, her campaign manager's personal answer. And it's like, I have no issue with you. I very much appreciate your opinion, Zach, but I'm asking for this is part of the decision-making process for me to vote for mayor.
Right.
I'm trying to give examples. I'm trying to find direct real-world examples for Betsy I'm trying to find real-world situations for Betsy to show examples of what she is talking about. Because, no tax raise. Betsy's been super clear about that. But then her campaign shifted to she's going to fix the roads. Cool. I don't see how she's going to pay for that. And when I ask that question, it's always, well, we're going to find all this waste and stuff, and we're going to spend that money on these projects that I want to do.
Right.
And it's like, okay, well, we now have a budget. Where is it? And again, it's Zach's personal answer, which it kind of makes sense, and it's something that that at least they say that he says that she's done well on school board is like, going around to different departments and stuff and trying to figure out where some redundancies are and try to trim some of that stuff, which is still an implication that Jacobs is complicit in waste in his current budget. But that's me proselytizing my you're just giving me political rhetoric. You're not being honest with what you're actually talking about. Because if it still should be there, they're like, or it should be, okay, give me that example from the school board that you found. Then go ask them. Okay, so you found that the cafeteria and the school resource departments both had their own, auditing and accounting team, and so we cut them out and just put all of that into the general accounting team. So we cut 4 people, added 1 to the general accounting team, and then we just covered all those things in a central accounting office instead of having it split up into different departments.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll go down to city county and ask them.
Didn't they change something with special education that kind of cut some special education
positions? All sorts of shit. So they're not going to rehire, or they're going to lose 50-something teachers over the summer. Special education in the gifted students program went from actually having teachers to having curriculum that their current teachers are just going to have to teach to these kids on top of the regular curriculum. And so instead of it being pulling out of class to go to a special room to work with other gifted students and having a more advanced curriculum, it's just, well, here's your advanced curriculum from your teacher while your teacher's teaching the lesson to their whole class of regular kids. Which, again, you're not going to convince me that $700 million isn't enough to teach 60,000 kids. That's its own problem. Like, I still have problems with that. We're talking, $11,000, $12,000 a kid now. I don't get it. I honestly, I guess I could flip the script on my argument against Betsy. It's like, you didn't find enough waste. How is there not more waste than piddly couple of payroll spots here and there that you're cutting out? $700 million? What are we talking about? Like, it doesn't make sense to me. And like, I can go back to that argument again, because I still truly like it. Like, again, if I had time, which I certainly don't, I would love to go down this rabbit hole and try to start a private school. Okay, state, give me $7,000 a kid. I'll take 20 kids. And I'll bet you I could get them through 2 school years of curriculum. I could do 3rd and 4th grade education in 1 school year time period with 20 students with the budget you're giving me. Or I could spread it out over 2 years and just take all that extra money as income, as profit. Because I get 2 years, I get $7,000 per student per year. Because I don't think it should take as long to teach kids all the shit we teach them either. And I also think the age, like, I think one of the anyway, I'm not going to pick apart the school system other than to say, I don't understand why it's so fucking expensive. It shouldn't be this expensive. It doesn't make sense to me why it's this expensive to do this task. Not to mention that a national, one of the things the National Board of Education actually does do is compile data. And they did a report this week that shows 3rd grade reading across the entire country is down. 7th grade math, I can't remember what the exact time, like, it's different age. There's math and reading on 2 different, it's 3rd grade reading and it's like 6th or 7th grade math. That, like, every district, there's apparently New York Times did a big deep dive into the report, and that you can actually go, I think it's New York Times, you can go there and there's like an interactive chart. You can pick the school district and it'll show you the numbers for that school district.
Yeah, I think I saw Sager talking about that.
Yeah, and so, and it's down across the board. And I was actually listening to that segment on Breaking Points with my kid in the car, and he's like, well, it's because it's harder than it was. It's harder now than it was when you were. I was like, no, it's not. Because they're teaching they're the checkpoint that they're talking about, and that's the point of these tests. That's the point of having these tests, is that it's a checkpoint against everybody across the country, as well as every year since we started taking the test. And so if I'm in 3rd grade and I take the test and I score a 90, and then 15 years later, 20 years later, you come along and take that same test in 3rd grade and score a 90, the presumption from the data is that the system is educating you at the same level and speed and pace that they were educating me. I'm at the level that they think I should be at that age. You were at the level they thought you should be at that age, even though we're 20 years apart. That means the system at large is doing its job of getting the information and skill set into your head so that you can be a good student. That's the point of the test. And I understand that one of the biggest problems with the test isn't about testing you. This is really a test of the teaching and the education system. Yeah. And how do you incentivize students to take a test that isn't actually about them seriously? And that's been a problem over the years. I get that's part of it, but like test numbers are like we're failing to educate our kids well. Statistically, it says so. I don't know. I mean, there are certainly parts and pieces where they're doing stuff that I don't remember doing or I've forgotten or I remember doing later in my schooling career, especially in the math. But both my kids are accidentally good at math. And so I think my freshman is in sophomore math, and my 7th grader is in 8th grade math, and he's going to be taking actually an advanced freshman math next year, I think is what he's supposed to have. I don't remember what it is. My kids are good at math. It's not my fault. I didn't do it. I'm good at math if there's a dollar sign on it. I'm getting better at my percentage math because I do all this political junk or whatever, but I don't know. They're good at the maths, and so whatever. But we're failing to educate our kids, and we spend a fucking shit ton of money on it. We're failing to keep our populace healthy, and we spend a fuck ton of money on it. It's like we're so terrible at what we're trying to do here, and I don't know what the solutions are, but it seems like just beating ourselves in the head and doing it again and trying to do it a new same way that we did it last year. It seems to be the solution that we're trying to push for, and like I don't think this works anymore. And again, I'll go back to, I think that's another reason why Trump's the president of the United States right now. Because I think most people on some guttural level recognize these things. They don't know it in like a detailed way, but like in a broader sense way, like shit's expensive. Shit's hard. Life is not as good as it used to be. Like Sagar always likes to do his McDonald's example because he never goes to McDonald's. And so when he does make a trip to McDonald's, it's a good indicator of where the world is. Because he's like, I used to go in here and get we did 25-cent Burger Wednesdays, right? Remember that?
29, yeah.
And then, but like normally, we had a $1 value menu that had a bunch of stuff on it for $1.
Right.
Like I think it was a double cheeseburger, not just a cheeseburger, it's a double cheeseburger for $1.
A McDouble. I never did figure out what the difference was.
Yeah.
They had both on the menu.
Right.
I don't know if it was like
the McDouble was just ketchup. I think it was bottom bun, burger, cheese, burger, ketchup. Single cheese. Double cheeseburger was 2 cheeses, but it was ketchup. Right. I don't remember. One had 2 slices of cheese and ketchup, mustard, onion, pickle. The other one had 1 slice of cheese and just ketchup by default. Other condiments you had to add. Something like that. Anyway, point of the story is like, I across the board, like we just like name something and think about when we were 20, 25, and then when you were 35, and then now that we're kicking around near 45, how much more expensive it is. Like McDonald's is stupid expensive.
Some of it, yeah.
Like I mean, we don't do it. Like I refuse to even entertain the idea on our takeout night anymore. But like, I can spend the same money at Chick-fil-A and get more food. That's way better. I can spend the same money almost the same money at Applebee's and get everybody something to eat. And it'll be like a steak and fries and one of their chicken sandwiches and Bourbon Street pasta, whatever it's called.
You sure? Because most restaurants have gone up as well.
Not as much. So, like, I mean, it's like, I feel like we went to, like, I think we went to Texas Roadhouse. We picked up Texas Roadhouse maybe, and it was like $65, $70 with tip. Last time we went to McDonald's was like $50.
Yeah.
It's not exactly not dollar for dollar the same, but I got way more good food. Good food's relative, yes, but I got better food.
Slightly better quality.
I got a little bit better quality. I got more food. I got more flavor. Like it was better. It was better on a taste level, on an enjoyment of the interaction with the food level. It was larger portions and stuff like that. For $15 more for a family of 4. So for $3, $3.25 or $3.65 or whatever it is per person more, I got some real food instead of some shit fucking burger and fries. Like we went and got like bacon and cheese biscuits, like $4. I think it's like $3.79 now for bacon and cheese biscuit in the morning. Like we've stopped a couple of times on the way in to school and grabbed me and the older one grab a biscuit on the way into school. 2 biscuits. And because I'm cheap, I'm usually looking at the sausage biscuit. Like a bacon, egg, and cheese and a sausage biscuit. And it was like $9 after tax and everything. That's crazy. It's just crazy. And it just is. And I again, I obviously don't understand how inflation works. But this, and it's just, we accept this as the public because we don't feel like we have a choice. We feel like this is just the way it is. And I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense to me. And I don't know how to fix it. I don't remember how I got ranting on the price of McDonald's. Other than stupid kids. Our kids are stupid, are less smart. Like we just suck at what we're supposed to be doing. Like our government sucks. Is the point I'm trying to get to. Is like the things that we want them to do, we're not good. They're just not good at. That's why I lean libertarian in the first place. It's like I don't like the track record so far is we suck at executing. Like it's not that we have it's not that people have bad ideas or bad intent necessarily. Like I'll even go so far as be like, the people are like, they're good faith actors in what they're wanting to do here. Probably not when you get down to it. Like, I mean, I think Obamacare theoretically could have worked if in the original format before the Republicans got a hold of it and chipped it down to let it finally pass as a broken mess.
I also think healthcare lobby had a big part of it as well.
Absolutely. Like, I mean, I
think they were the ones that leaned more into the insurance requirement.
Right.
They're like, all right, if we're going to let you guys get this passed, you also got to put in there that everyone has to have insurance or else you're going to fine them.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to go down the insurance rabbit hole and get into all that because I was just
That's not.
Like, we are broken. We are a broken nation. We are a terrible electorate, and we're getting dumber and dumber. And I don't know. Like, part of it seems part of it feels intentional. Like, that's part of the plan. That's part of the big long term is that we're gonna make things dumber and dumber. If we make a dumber populace is going to keep letting us do what we're doing.
I don't think it's that at all.
I mean, it's that or just the complete ineptness and inability to actually to function as a society. I don't know. I mean, no, I think it's intentional. Like, it's got to be intentional. Same people that did backflips that stopped everything and did backflips, pulled people back from their vacations to drag their ass to Nashville to redistrict Memphis so that we don't have one Democrat representing Tennessee in the federal government.
I thought that was the seat that said he was getting ready to leave anyway.
Doesn't matter. It's...
Well, I saw like that Heat Today, Cohen, I guess, announced that since they redistrict, he was dropping out of the race for... I thought he was the one that said that he was going to leave.
I mean, he was already in a primary with one of the Justins. One of the Justins was primarying him.
I thought that was a special election that, like, Afton Ben and the Republican were running for. I was thinking it was that.
No, now maybe, because the new districts of Memphis come almost all the way to Nashville to split them up.
Right.
But Afton Ben was back in November for whatever that House seat is that's like just west of Nashville. That's like District 7.
Was it? Okay.
Or something like that, because it's like 7. It used to be like 7 was just west of Nashville, and then 8 was the gap between Nashville and Memphis, and then 9 was just Memphis.
Yeah.
Like, it was literally just the city of Memphis. Actually, some of the city limits of Memphis was in District 8 because there's enough population in Memphis to be a whole house district. And they split that up. So those people who control our school systems went out of their way to do this thing. To what end, I don't know. And this is like, and again, it's not that Tennessee is particularly special in that, because this is the fifth and sixth order consequence of the Texas redistricting, that then California did their thing, and then Massachusetts did their thing. And there's a video of Briggs in some diner speaking to some people there, and like why he voted for it. And he's like, Massachusetts, blah, blah, blah percent Republicans, 0 representation. Okay. Vermont, whatever. Like, he keeps running, like, runs down a list of states that Democrats have gerrymandered complete control over. Okay. And again, like, part of me, it's like, I get it. This is how the game is played. You got to play the game. I don't know. It doesn't just, I don't know. Two wrongs don't make it right. I'm trying to think of things my mom told me when I was a kid that would apply in this conversation.
I've thought about that phrase a lot as well.
It's like, okay.
I hear a lot of like, what about? It's like, well, blah, blah, blah did it. It's like, okay.
Sure.
Is that really what you want to hang your hat on?
Lauren, everybody else jumped off a bridge. You're going to go jump off the bridge too? Yeah. That's not, like, it is. It's exactly that. It's like, what are we doing? Like, it's, at some point, like, I can understand it in the game that is politics. I understand it. And if you're going to play the game, you got to play the game.
Yeah. So somebody trying to point out that, I don't know when it was, but apparently at some point, Tennessee Democrats had some kind of power, and they gerrymandered to get some extra representation.
And it's going to be that way at some level.
Was this like 50 years ago or something? But
at some level, it's just like, okay, I don't mind, like, the obligation that it must exist. It will exist on some level.
Right.
It's going to have to exist on some level. But, like, to go out of your way to make it 0 when you know it's a lie. Like, that's the thing to me. It's like, I know, like, the easiest way to do it is go back and look at the presidential election. What percentage of Tennesseans who voted for Kamala?
No idea.
It was like 40%, 30%, something like that. It was more than 11%, which is what representation we had federally prior to this week. We're already 20% short, and I think it's more than that, actually. I think that's probably a bad example. A better example probably would have been the Gloria Marsha race, and Gloria was like 37%, I think.
Yeah,
in the Senate, in that Senate race, because I think the presidential one's a little bit special, just because
you're going to get some more independents in there.
You get more independents in there, and I think Trump is a special candidate in the sense that there are a lot of people who would generally vote for Republicans that don't want to vote for Trump. My dad is an example. First time in his entire life he didn't vote for the Republican nominee for president in a presidential general election was in 2024. He's like, I can't vote for that guy. I cannot vote for Trump. Actually, it might have been the second time. He might have voted for Biden. I don't remember. I'd have to talk to him about it, the specifics of it. Mm-hmm. But he's just like, I can't do it. Like, I can't vote for Trump. I will not vote for Trump again.
Yeah.
And I think there's more than just my dad in the state of Tennessee that feel that way. So very good. No matter how you slice it, any statewide races, which is going to be the 2 senator races and the presidential race and the governor's race, we're going to see it this year. How many people do you think are going to vote for the not Republican, not Marsha Blackburn, in the gubernatorial race this year? It's going to be 30 to 40%. But those people have 0 representation in any level of our federal government from the state of Tennessee. That doesn't seem right to me. And it's like, again, on the game of politics, if I were a Republican and I was sitting there in the meeting, I'm like, yeah, I get it. Still isn't right. There are Democrats in this state, and we acknowledge that. And they kicked they kicked everybody out of their committees.
But they also had to.
It's just until the next session, and then when they start reassigning all the committees.
I know before they even were able to vote on the redistricting, they also had to, I guess, suspend, because it was a former state law that you could not do it in between elections or in between whatever.
Yeah, Right. It was
So they had to they had to vote to suspend that rule or change that rule, or
Right.
whatever.
They had to put an amendment on that, which is kind of funny. They voted to allow themselves to break a law that they wrote for themselves
Right.
some number of years ago.
Yeah. It was like 70s, maybe. I could be
Yeah.
wrong.
Probably when some Democrats were in power. It was actually, I'll bet you what it was is when the Republicans took back over from the Democrats.
Possibly.
And so they're like, you know what? Now that we've got control, we're going to make it so that if next cycle the Republicans win some of these seat backs, they can't gerrymander us out of our seats.
Yeah.
And they were all proud of themselves. That'd be an interesting little history dive to do on the topic. But again, my point, going back to the original point, is like those are the people who control our school system. I don't think they have anybody. Fairness is not certainly one of the things that they have on their agenda to do. Best interest of the public is not something that they seem to have on their agenda to do. Whomever it is that's actually influencing these people to make decisions isn't me and you, isn't our neighbors, because I don't know of anything that happened in session this year that I'm super excited that happened. We might have gotten some allocation of some future funding to do some upgrades to some of the state and federal infrastructure around Knoxville to maybe make the highest highest volume in the state of Tennessee, but like the fourth highest volume interstate junction in the federal interstate system.
Yeah.
We might have got some funding to do some stuff with that in 2030 or whatever the fucking math is.
And I was thinking he had heard that like we used to be ranked really high as far as our roads. And he was thinking we're now like towards like the bottom.
Yeah, I don't know how that
quality of roads.
Yeah, but I mean it's just like by the time. I think Alcoa Highway is a perfect example. By the time they finish that, which they're still not done, by the time they finish that thing, it's going to be obsolete, or not obsolete, but it's not going to be enough for the new level of traffic that needs it. By the time they get started on a project to do this Orange Line 40 bypass thing that they keep talking about,
yeah,
whatever the next thing is, by the time some choice lane company comes in and adds a choice lane through Knoxville or whatever the different combination things, by the time any of this stuff comes to fruition, it's the level of gridlock and infrastructure improvement need we're going to be at is going to be 30 years down the road. It's going to be 30 years worse than it is now, and we're going to get a 10-year reprieve from the update that they start 5 years from now. So
slightly less shitty.
But no. Well, as compared to the day before they open it, yes. As compared to right now, it's going to be worse than now. That's my point. We're going to get 30 years behind, and they're finally going to get something done, and it's going to be a 10-year improvement. So we're still 20 years behind.
Yeah,
that's just that's the outlook here, and we're spending billions of dollars to do it, and it's never going to catch up. And it's like, what's the math? Let's do the math here. How do we figure this out? We're never going to catch up. We're never going to catch up on infrastructure. And this isn't just a local issue. This is a national issue. We're never going to catch up on housing issues. We're just never going to catch up. It's always going to be bad. Until until we hit some wall or China nukes us off the planet. I'm not sure what the options we have are here. That's where we're at. I just got my reassessment in the mail today. My $135,000 house that I bought in 2012 is now $400,000 house according to Knox County, and the assessment is generally under market. Actual market is usually over what the assessed market is. That's fucking crazy. I love my house. Don't get me wrong. It is not worth $500,000. That's crazy talk. It just doesn't make any sense. My house is objectively worse than it was when I bought it, because I've been living in it for the last decade plus.
Right.
And I have 2 children, and I've had pets, and I don't have a lot of money, so I haven't done any significant improvements. We got new windows a couple years ago.
Made some improvements.
Some, not really. Just really new windows is all I've done. A couple new doors on the outside. I need to do new floors at some point, but I'm waiting for the pets to die off before I put new floors in, and the kids get out of the house.
Right.
You know, there's some stuff I want to do, and that I would do that I would feel like, yeah, this is a value add to this house. I haven't done any of them yet, but my house has almost tripled in value in 10, 12 years. It's fucking crazy. And for no other reason than I don't know what. Like, I really don't know what. Because I'm not any wealthier for it. That's the big thing to me. Like, I'm not better off. I could get better loans, theoretically. Yeah. I could leverage the value I have in this house to do some stuff, but not a lot. You know, it's still $100 a tank of gas. You know, it's still putting $100 in my gas tank once every 7-8 days. You know, it's still $300 trips to the grocery store and getting more. I mean, I am not any wealthier for all this happening. On paper, I guess I am, but like realistically, you know, like I'm not feeling any more secure in my financial situation with my gajillion-dollar house. Doesn't make any sense.
I don't think that's the point of property assessment.
I mean, it is at some level. I mean, I don't pay any more taxes because of the way the tax code works. Like I pay like $1,700 a year or $1,100 a year, and that's going to continue.
The new assessment isn't going to increase your...
It can't. State law says it can't do it. Unless next summer,
Betsy...
Betsy...
we were texting about that. I can't remember what they called it.
Yeah, so essentially, like the state law basically says local municipalities cannot make more money off of a reassessment in real dollars. So if your house is a $100,000 house and you're paying $1,000 a year for a 1%, you know, basically saying it's a 1% tax, right? We have 1% property. I think it's 1.05% is what our actual property tax is technically right now, whatever. You have 1% property tax on a $100,000 house, you're paying $1,000 a year. They come along and they reevaluate your house because of the market and things that happen in the market. Now your $100,000 house is a $200,000 house. Your 1% should go up to $2,000. By law, this county assessor's office has to then go reapply an updated version of the tax rate to bring down your actual payment to the same number it was. Now, there's some fuckery and technicality and some wishy-washy in there. So your property goes from $1,000 to $2,000, or property tax, theoretical property tax goes $1,000 to $2,000. It'll come back to like $1,010 or $1,025 or something like that. It can go up a little bit, but functionally speaking, your out-of-pocket annually for property tax does not change unless they change the property tax rate. Locally.
I remember us texting about that. I guess I was trying to square it with people, people that are saying they're getting priced out of their homes.
They are not. That is the way I understand it. That cannot happen.
Yeah.
Now you still have to pay property tax, and whatever that property tax is could be enough to be a problem for you, but it's not any more problem than it was last year. Like if you've paid your house off and you own your house outright and all you have to do is pay $1,000 a year in taxes for the rest of time, as the world turns, and your trips to the grocery store go from $100 to $200 or whatever, and everything else around you is getting more expensive and your income's not changing, you might be getting priced out of paying your property tax because
everything else is going up.
Everything else, you have, say your property tax averages out to $100 a month and you have a $500 budget a month to spend on stuff.
I thought a lot of the argument was tied to the value of their house going up. I don't know.
Well, there's a couple. It does. Right. Now, again, if they change the property tax rate, it'll go up. You could get priced out of your house theoretically. But if the rate doesn't change, the assessment can't. Like I said, there's some finer math to the algorithm that you can end up paying more, but it's not significant unless your value like quintuples or something crazy like that.
Yeah.
And so there is some theoretical, but not really. Like it's the way I understand it. No, if you could pay $1,000, if you could pay your property tax this year, you can pay it next year. Doesn't matter what your house value is, as I understand it. And so, anyway, that's happening. But but it's like and even if we did adjust with it, like I would be livid. I guess. Well, I don't know. I guess we have money to spend on things as a county. But like, I find it interesting. There's a lot of construction going on. The Dean Hill right there in front of Cherokee is getting resurfaced.
Is it?
Yeah. All the resurfacing and road work that I've seen are, I'd say the average residential value of the roads that are getting fixed are at least in the $700,000 house range that I've seen in my travels, as far as any of the city resurfacing that's getting done. It may be time. It may be time. I'm not saying they're doing it because it's where the rich people live. I'm not saying that. I'm thinking it, but I'm not saying it. It's just an observation. It may have been the correct time in the rotation.
All right.
And they're doing that stretch of Nubbin Ridge past Moreau. I'm talking about, which is the only really dicey part left of Nubbin Ridge. Like the rest of Nubbin Ridge is all clean and pretty.
For the most part, yeah.
I mean, they were in there. They cut a couple of trees down last week, 2 weeks ago on Nubbin Ridge, that were the last of the trees that will kill you. They've been slowly clearing all the trees that were right on the curb.
Oh, okay.
And there were two. I mean, they were big trees. I've driven that road enough times to just never notice it. But there were two, probably like 8 to 12 foot diameter trunks that are now stumps. And as you drive by them, it's like, holy shit! I didn't realize that tree was that fucking big.
I don't know if I've seen that.
Yeah, they're up on the very end, right before the stop sign. But I don't know. Like I just like I'm getting to a spot where I'm just kind of like I'm giving up is not the right word, but just kind of throwing my hands up at it. It's like, what are we doing anymore? Like, why are we care? Like, I'm not particularly hopeful for the future of domestic governments in whole. That we're ever going to get our shit together and get to some form of reasonable, functional, working government ever again. Because if you go back, like, I don't know, to me, if you go back and, like, just in our lifetime, even before I was paying attention, but you go back, it's like, this thing's never really worked right. Ever. But certainly not in recent history, and it's gotten worse in the last decade. 2 decades. Like, substantially worse in the last couple of decades. I'm a little scared, but I'm more just, like, apathetic. Like, I don't know if I care anymore. I don't know. Like, I kind of want to watch it burn, but I don't want to deal with it. Like, this is where I want to be on my compound in the woods, and not have to worry about the effects of it burning around me. I'm not there yet. Where I have my well-posted free beer signs and start shooting people. Just a whole pile of bodies at the free beer counter. People will figure out what I'm actually saying real quick. Let's come to a clearing in the woods, and there's like 10 bodies there.
That'll learn them.
Be interesting. That'd be a fun little, like, I feel like I just wrote a movie. Like, that'd be a fun little, like, one of those psycho movies where you're hunting people. Yeah, I like that. All right. All right. Next week, my audiobook. We'll just do my audiobook. We'll do a live reading in characters. Sam will bring all his voices out. It'll be great. We'll rehearse it and everything. It'll be the most well put together episode we've ever done. Spokane Roots, county budget. Yeah, I covered the highlights of the week. I feel like I'm missing something though. What did I text you about? Oh, you want to talk about your accidental cheap gas? That was pretty funny. Where were you?
Oak Ridge. All
right, so Sam Lima sends me a picture at Gas Smart. If that helps you find where Sam lives, everybody. One, I've never been to one that has 5 gases on one pump.
That's one of the ones I've ever been to that that has 3 levels of 100% gas.
Yeah. A lot of most are just 2 now.
Most I've seen are just 1. It's always just 87.
I've seen, but yeah, 87 or 93 is usually what I've seen
For 100%.
But so yeah, we got diesel for 5.199, regular unleaded for 4.299.
I drove by it tonight, and it was down to $3.99.
What is that one? What is the regular unleaded with the black?
That's just the standard with up to 10% ethanol or whatever it says.
Oh, okay. And so they have 100% gas of regular unleaded for 4.699, and then they have 100% unleaded plus for 4.199. So the cheapest gas, and I think I thought about it after, and then premium for 4.659.
Which is still cheaper than the 87.
6 cents. Huh?
So the 93 was cheaper than the 87 of 100% gas. Because it's 465, where 87 is 469. So it was all wonky.
Yeah. Well, I think what it is, too, my guess is what it is because the way gas pricing works is it's what you're going to pay for the next time you fill up. Not you, the customer, but them, the gas station. So the price on the board is what what they price it out for the next order. So they have the big, 10,000 gallon tanks underneath the parking lot. It doesn't matter what they paid for the gas that's in the tank. It's what they're being told they're going to pay for the next truck that comes and drops off. And so my guess is that the demand for the plus and the premium is low. People aren't buying it, so they're not looking at the next order till further down the road. Does that make sense? Where the regular unleaded, they've refilled a couple of times as the prices have gone up.
Yeah,
they've been bringing their price up with it, but they haven't needed to order another tank of their plus and premium because people weren't filling up with it.
Maybe. I thought about asking if they were running a special on
Have you ever in your life had a gas station run a special? Seen on gas?
Yeah. The used to be a BP there in Gettysville. Used to have a little gas station. It was only like a few pumps, but I want to say it was like on Tuesdays. They had 10% off premium gas. And at the time, I was driving a car that I had to put premium in, my Audi.
The Audi?
So I would go there on Tuesdays and fill up because it was 10 cents off per gallon, something like that.
Back in those days, 10 cents might have been close to 10%.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember, I will never forget this, and this is my most old manny thing I ever tell people when I get going on like the same shit about McDonald's we were talking about earlier and how expensive things are.
All right.
You were there when we were at Weigel's. I don't know if you were there when this occurred. The maintenance guy, the grumpy maintenance guy that come around. You remember that guy?
Kind of.
Like, he worked for Weigel's proper, and so he would come out and do, like, he was the maintenance guy. He wasn't doing regular shit. He was coming in there fixing, like, a broken sink in the bathroom or whatever. Like, that was his gig.
Yeah.
And he had come in one day, and like, ours was one of the, like, when we were there, it was one of the newest stations in the Weigel's arsenal, if you will. And so our sign was good. But he was complaining about how he's been out at, like, store 7, because they numbered their stores. And, like, I think 1 was still open at the time. I think 1's closed now. But like Weigel's number 1 and Weigel's number 7 and Weigel's number whatever, he's like, they got me out here trying to fix these signs. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, well, when we built store 7, like I think it was up to store like 15. The first 15 Weigel stores, like there was no inkling of an imagination that gas would ever get over $1. So all the road signs only had decimal point,
2 slots,
and 2 digits. And so he's like, I'm trying to figure out how to get a 1 in front of these signs. Like, I'm trying to figure out how to rework these signs so we don't have to build a brand new sign for all these old stores. And so they're like, yeah, we just add a 1 to them. It's like, I can't just add a 1. There's no space to add a 1. And so he was just complaining to me about it. And like, at the time I was like, yeah, that's kind of, but at the time, like, when we started driving, it's when we were 16 in the late 90s, gas went from 80 in the 80s to the 90s. Like, it was in the 80, 90 cent range most of the times that I remember.
Yeah.
I don't remember anything under like 80 85 cents.
No.
You know, but I remember that little Nissan Sentra I had. I could fill it up for under $10. If gas was under $1, there's a 10-gallon tank in that thing.
I remember filling up right around the time where it went from like the 90s into like a little over $1. And watching like the difference between, you know, the gallons ticking and then the actual price ticking.
I would say like getting filling a whole tank of gas, a small tank, granted, but a whole tank of gas for under $10 wasn't weird. Like, wasn't abnormal in my life at the time.
Even then, your gas tank should have been over 10 gallons.
I think it was a 12-gallon
unless you were filling up.
I think it was a 12-gallon tank, but you know, if I hit
filling up when it got
if I hit it like just under a quarter, if I hit it just under a quarter, or like right when the light came on, it would be about 10 gallons.
Yeah.
And so, but like, you know, like I remember that. I remember that's a real thing. I'm so old.
Back in my day,
you know. And like my, you know, and I'm sure I could have this tell the story. My dad would be like, "Yeah, when I was 16, 17 and started driving, we were talking nickels and dimes, maybe a quarter." Like I remember, like he could be.
Bread was 10 cents.
I'm sure my dad will tell me some story about his mom, you know, pitching a fit about when it broke a quarter.
Right.
It's like 25 cents a gallon. What are we talking about? Which is crazy.
It's highway robbery.
You know, and it's like, yeah, I don't know, whatever. That's inflation, I guess. It just is. And here we are. So I don't know. I'm mildly despondent on the topic. I don't know. I feel like we missed something else. Was anything on the election that you wanted to cover? So we missed last week.
Nah, I can't think.
I think you wrote down one of my answers wrong. There's no way I said Biggs was winning trustee. There's no way I told you that. You marked that I said Biggs was going to win that race.
Oh, okay, sorry.
I know. I haven't gone back and listened to the episode to prove myself wrong. I'm just going to assume that I remember correctly.
I think I remember saying, like, Biggs is definitely not winning it. Maybe I just checked it on accident.
Yeah, so I did pretty good. I think I only missed 2 races. I think 3 if you count the Democrat. The District 3, the county District 3 race is the one that I'm now most interested in. This Sherry Super versus Huckabee. Huckabee, I think. So, we'll see. We got time to think about that, but I'm not stressing that one for a little bit.
Until August.
I do need to work up. I do need to plan and just pick a date and do my thing where I just say, here's our debate. This is when you're going to be there, and you're all going to be there. I'm not asking you to be there. I'm telling you this is when you need to be. This is when and where you need to be. I'm in a format. I'm not going to do the same format as last time. I'll still probably do it publicly, but it's going to be this. I'm going to set up the studio in the back room, and you can come in and spectate on a live taping of the podcast. But it's just going to be me talking to the two of them. I'm not going to do a full production like they did last time. Mm-hmm. I'm not mad. I'm not mad at all. I'm really proud of what we put together. I really appreciate all the help that you and the other people involved helped me to get this thing off and make it happen. But I didn't leave. I went back and listened to it because I didn't pay attention. My brain wouldn't let me pay attention. I had my server brain on. But there was nothing. I didn't glean any. Like there was nothing that was really exciting to me about any of the conversation. Like none of it went like, oh, that's important, that's big. There's a couple little pokes here and there. There's a couple of this and that, but none of it to me gave any more insight than I didn't already have on all the candidates.
Right.
Everybody did what they said they were going to do. There was no. What I was really wanting, like what I really wanted is some of the more not the catty like fighty shit, but more of the. But that's incorrect, and here's why. You know, whether it was, like I would have liked to have heard more on people's growth conversation and really kind of leaned into this, like, what do you mean by smart growth? What does that actually mean? We need to protect our rural communities. What does that mean? How do you deal with the housing situation? How do you manage development? How do we, honestly, like the question I still have is like, Okay, I mean it's obvious. Democratic on a small d Democratic level, Knox County doesn't want more growth. Like that, I think that's factual. I think if we had that as a ballot item, would you like to do anything possible to stop more people from moving to Knoxville? Yes or no? I think yeses would win. Now, anything possible leaves that wide open for lots of avenues of trying to figure out how to do it. But I think, I think realistically, I think if you had a good survey of the people, like if we really broke it down and said, what do we need to do about the growth situation in Knox County, most people are going to say less people. Less people. We don't need more people. Like, we're full. Go somewhere else. I think that would be I don't
know if it's less people. I think they just want less traffic, and I'm kind of in that same boat.
Yeah, but I
don't care if we get more people. I just want less people on the fucking road.
Well, I mean, like I want more cake, but I don't want to get fat. That doesn't make any sense. Like that means the same thing. Like,
no, you can have more people. I think that leans more into we need more like public transit.
But that means you have to no, because then you have to take then you need to take public transit. Why aren't you already taking it? We're okay with more people here, but if they come here, they have to ride the bus. I'm going to keep driving. Is that what you think that's the generic answer?
No.
I mean, it is because you can't say we don't mind more people, we just don't like traffic. So you can let more people move here.
That's people's biggest gripe with having an increased population.
Right, but if your gripe isn't that there are more people here, it's just that the more people here are the ones that are contributing to the traffic problem, then you don't want more people here. It's the only logical end to that statement. Yeah, everybody can move here. They just can't use the roads.
No, I think you're taking a little further than that.
But I don't get how. I mean, I
know that increased traffic comes along with it, with the increased population.
Yes.
I don't think that automatically implies that. Oh, I want more people. I just don't want them to drive.
Well, but how do you how do you separate the two? How do you separate more people coming here and not adding to the traffic problem? That's what I'm throwing extreme versions of it, but that's what I'm asking. It's like how you could you could say I don't mind more people, I just need the traffic to be better. But
I was more saying I think that's what people's biggest gripe is, and I'm with it as well.
But then I
understand that it comes along with it. I don't think in the general premise of it, I don't think people mind that there's more people moving to Knoxville. I think people are more upset with what comes along with it. Yes, increased traffic, but I think that's people's biggest gripe with the increased growth.
Okay, so let's go back to my hypothetical.
Okay.
I don't. They seems like they converge on one singular point here. It's that more people equals more traffic. So the only solution to have not more traffic would be less people, or no more people to have no more traffic, no additional traffic problems. Like they seem to be like to me, those things run parallel. You can't have one. You can't be okay with. You can't be okay with more people. I mean, if you're okay with more people, then you need to be okay with more traffic.
Alleviate some of that with just better traffic patterns.
I mean, there is
more kind of like
better infrastructure,
routes.
and sure, there is the premise of better infrastructure,
right,
as a solution to, I guess, what the difference is in the bits and bobs here. But okay,
I mean, there's really a handful of places where it gets really bad. I mean, you can see it if you watch like the local news about where all the traffic is.
Well, I mean,
you see it right here on Morel or even like North Shore has gotten like worse and worse at certain times of the day.
Yeah, I mean, I tell you, like the example all the time is it used to be coming from the holler out here. If I left later than 3:00, that stretch from downtown proper to 640 going west, If I left after 3 o'clock, it was stop and go, super heavy traffic.
Right.
But if I got moving earlier, it was usually fine. Like if I could get out, if I left at like 1:30, 2 o'clock, which is usually my target time, it's usually fine. Now it doesn't matter. Like I go down there and I can leave at 11:30 in the morning and go that way, and it's packed. Like it doesn't matter what time of day anymore. It's just always bad. And so, yes, that's obviously there's significantly more traffic. And then when it gets to the rush hour periods, it's even worse in those stretches. Yeah. Morale has gotten worse, yes. I just, again, like I going back to the original hypothetical is like, I think if you could get a good survey of Knox County residents, I would think that the general consensus would be, we're full, no more. I think that would, I don't think there's any, I think there's better ways to say it, but I think most people would be more than happy to say, no, we're good. We don't need any more people here. If you phrase the question of, assuming that people come with kids and families and they're going to go bring kids into the school system, they're going to be traffic to our roads, they're going to bring increased, whatever the things that come along with more residents, would you be for or against more people coming to Knoxville? I think most people would be like, no, I'm good with, we could stay where we're at. Maybe that's a better version of the question.
Yeah, I don't wholly disagree with that.
And so then the question is, how do you do that? Which I still have come up with zero solutions. Because the most generous solution that I've come up with would be you just zone the shit out of, like you keep the density light in the county, which will make it ungodly expensive to buy a house in Knox County. Which is only going to make the traffic worse because then people are going to be buying Anderson, Lenore, Blount. Loudoun County.
I think it would be illegal to do. I wonder if you could increase taxes for people that come in, grandfather people in that have been living here.
I don't think
there's a legal way to do that. Just a crazy off thought.
Yeah.
Like, okay, you want to move here? Well, you're going to have to pay higher taxes. They're like, wait, I got to do what? Like, yeah, I may rethink about moving there.
Yeah,
Crazy thought.
I mean, it would be a thing. It would be the most reasonable. Not reasonable. It'd be the easiest way to do something if you could do something. But I don't think you can.
Yeah, I don't. You wouldn't be able to do it.
I don't like as I'm saying. That's my point. It's like I like the again, to me, the only part one is you make it incredibly difficult for large developments to come in and build. You keep the zoning lighter density, so you can't have big apartment complexes or big condo complexes get built in the county. And you do like you could do some stuff on like agriculture and stuff like that, and all that, like make it farmland and stuff like that, so that can't be developed, and put a bunch of that zoning stuff in play to make it really hard for new stuff to get built, so that it gets to the point where the only place you can build a house is when you buy a house or buy a property with a house on it, tear the house down and build a new house, which will then skyrocket my now $400,000 house into $1 million house super fast. Because then it will be incredibly expensive to own a home in Knox County, if that's the route they go. As a current homeowner in Knox County, I guess I'm cool with that because that'll get me more wealth that I don't get to do anything with because I can't afford it to do anything else with it. But I'll have more wealth on paper, more leverage for loans, which I guess is a good thing. So I don't know, like what do we do? Because again, like if raising taxes is not an option, we're still going to have problems. We're still going to have infrastructure issues with what exists. We don't let people build. They're just going to, because we still have the work. I mean, the jobs are here apparently. And the people that live here have demand for the services that are around. And so we're going to have all 17 fucking million, lawn mowing companies that operate in Knox County. Well, they're all going to be driving in from Blount County and Anderson County because they're all going to live up there because they can't afford to live in Knox County. And so our traffic's going to get worse because all of our little day laborers that we use for all of the things that we wealthy ass Knox County homeowners need none of the people that do the work, at least affordably, in our opinion, can afford to live here. So it's not going to help our traffic in that sense. If traffic is the only goal, I'm just saying, I don't know what the solution is. I don't know how you I'm really curious if maybe I'm going to get a hold of Hanson and see if Hanson can explain it to me on what could you do if you wanted to as a government entity. He might be the one that actually knows.
Probably a good ask, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, what could you do as a government? And I think that's, like I said, I think that's the only one, really, other than the really, really, really bad version of it, where you say, we're gonna quintuple taxes and just burn it and not do anything in value with it, because if we quintuple taxes and do good stuff with it, people will still want to live here, and we don't want that. So, let's get weird, buddy. Let's close this out in proper weirdness. Oh, look at this on the news. Sorry, I'm over here looking at this other TV that you can't see. Tennessee-based company is laying off 121 employees this summer.
Say again, sorry?
It's a hemp company. I guess they put out a press release saying that they plan on firing their entire staff because they can't do the business come July 1st. Surprise. Anyway, do. Which button? That one. Woo, I guess right.
All right, let's see here. We got museums. Knight Rider replica car got a speeding ticket.
Awesome.
It hasn't gone anywhere in years.
Okay. How's that work?
It's a mystery on the streets of New York City. A traffic law violator with unpaid fines is driving a black Pontiac Trans Am that looks like the car with the talking computer from 1980s TV series Knight Rider, and even has the same license plate. Let's see here. Officials at an Illinois museum are among the people who would like to know. The Volo Museum near Chicago, which has a replica of the show's Trans Am that hasn't moved from its exhibit in years, recently received a $50 traffic ticket from the Big Apple, alleging its car was doing 36 miles per hour in a 25 zone in Brooklyn on April 22nd.
Kit, you devil. 36 miles an hour in a 25-mile-an-hour zone.
Right.
All right, so I'm confused.
City officials did not immediately respond to email and phone messages.
So it must be that the guy has a fake plate that is the... Right? That's the only thing that makes sense, right? The guy in New York that's driving around speeding at 36 in a 25 has a fake plate.
Possibly, yeah.
Because that's the only way it makes sense. Because if you had a real plate that was the same information as the TV show version or whatever, it would have to be registered to him, and the ticket would then go to him. But I'm assuming where did Knight Rider? What was Knight Rider's set? Is it California? Where were they?
I have no idea. Probably.
I'm trying to think of is the museum one have the California plate on it? What's the plate that's on it? I have many questions.
No, I think it had that cool thing that it could change. Oh no, that was James Bond.
Yeah, I have many questions. I'm curious. It's fun. It's funny. Good luck collecting on that, Brooklyn.
And apparently they're asking for a hearing to dispute it, which I would as well.
For $50, you're gonna fly. You're gonna fly to New York.
Fuck yeah. Well, something like that you could probably zoom in. I don't know. It's a good scam. It's a good scam, though. New York. They're trying.
Because that's one of those. It's $50. It's probably not even a technical. It's probably the same stuff as all the camera shit we have around here. That it's good. It's some third party private company.
Maybe.
That gets access to public databases that you and I don't get access to. But don't get me started on that. I did make I joked to somebody about trying to get. What did I make fun of? I'll tell you about that later. Anyway, one more.
Let's see here. All right, let's see here. South Florida officers sue Ben Affleck and Matt Damon, claiming details of, quote, the rip are too real.
So what they're saying, they stole name and likeness?
Let's see here.
That was a fun movie. I enjoyed it.
Oh, have you seen it?
Uh-huh.
Let's see here. So they used too many real-life details in its fictionalized narrative, causing harm to the officers' personal and professional reputations, according to a defamation lawsuit.
So the officers were the bad guys because, like, the whole premise of, the main gist of the story is that it's, there's a rat in the Miami PD or whatever.
Yeah. So inspired by a real 2016 case where police found over $21 million linked to a suspected marijuana trafficker in Miami Lakes home.
Yeah, it was a fun movie. But I mean, like, if the characters that Matt and Ben were, or who they're suing over, they're the good guys. Unless you're like me and, you're super pro pot, and you're like, well, I don't really think they need to be busting these guys. But it's cartel shit. It's all weird. Like, it's a crazy story.
Let's see, I guess some attorney wrote that the film does not purport to tell the true story of that incident or portray real people, which has been stated by a disclaimer in its film credits.
Yeah, because everybody reads the credits. Yeah. I'm saying, like, it's not a... what's the word I'm looking for here?
Oh, they didn't do the disclaimer at the beginning?
I don't think so. I'm saying, like, the only way... my recollection of the movie is the only way you're going to be mad if you were one of the characters in that movie is that you were the bad guy. And the bad guy was one of the officers who was, like, taking bribes and shit like that.
Dirty.
Yeah. So you're a dirty cop. It's the only way you're, like, that's like, I don't want to see why you'd be mad about that. Unless you have a bunch of neighbors that are really mad at you for being part of this thing that busted a drug ring. Like, is that the gist of what's happening here? Like, you son of a bitch. You ruined my uncle's cartel with your giant bust. You bastard.
You a bastard.
Like, I mean, that's the logical in there. All right, let's call, buddy.
There's some story about Andy Ogles, but I'm not fully read up on it.
What's his face?
He was raising money years ago for a cemetery for unborn babies.
Cool.
Did like a GoFundMe page or something.
And he embezzled it?
But now he's saying that, like, he never solicited money from the public. The money he raised came from, like, friends and family, basically. But I guess news organizations have found a number of people that are like, no, like, I donated a couple $100s to this. They want to know what happened to their money. I think it came out to be like 30, 35 grand or something like that. 20, 30 grand.
Old John Rose is starting to run his campaigns, and
I haven't seen his commercials.
Makes me very uncomfortable. I see a pervert just flaunting it out there in public.
Does give off the groomer vibes.
I mean,
I was telling my parents about the alleged story of how they met.
I don't know if it's alleged. I think it's pretty... I think it's known. I think it's true. Whether that's where their romance started when she was still in high school is alleged.
Right.
I mean, he at least waited until she turned 18 and a half or something like that. But I mean, like, I don't know. It's like, she's 40 something. He's 70 something.
Is that how old she is?
Yeah.
She still looks
look
young.
at the commercial. Like, she might be in her tip top 30s.
Yeah.
I would guess she's our age, plus or minus a couple of years.
Yeah.
Probably on the lower half of the 40s. And he's 60 something. I don't know. It's gross. And it's like, talk about the lesser of two evils. I got to pick between him and Marsha Blackburn. That's really what we're working with here. Like, it's just,
but he's tough like Trump.
He is, yeah.
There's nobody else out there like that. Or
that's what his ads keep, right?
Yeah,
his ads keep saying, like Trump. Like, not endorsed by Trump. Not whatever, just, like, giving a bunch of
somebody
similes.
tough like Trump.
Yeah.
I'm the only one that's just like that.
I don't know what to. I don't. God damn it. Oh. I don't know. All right.
That's a show.
That's a show. Thank you. What are we doing to ourselves? Like, we did this. We did this to ourselves. Or they did it to us. I don't know. That's what I'm saying. Like, maybe they did it to us. Maybe that's... They spent trillions of dollars and years of education system to educate us into being this stupid. And this is where we're at. So, Almost Human, gmail.com, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, go to the website, almosthuman.com. Sure, everybody going on, go in there. Be on the lookout for Professor Umbridge. She is all over town right now, and you should be concerned. Almost Human, gmail.com, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, go to the website, Almost Human, go on there. Like, friend, share, follow, text to your friends. Do you do this for the show? We appreciate you guys. We'll be next week with another great episode of this thing that we do. Almost Integrated. Bye.